Al Capone, the notorious gangster who defined an era. Al Capone, a name that conjures images of roaring 20s jazz, speakeasies, and the gritty streets of Prohibition-era Chicago. Capone wasn't just any gangster. He was the most infamous mob boss in American history. Known as Scarface, he rose to power through a combination of charisma, cunning, and ruthless ambition. But who was the man behind the legend? Let's explore the life of Al Capone, from his humble beginnings to his notorious reign as a crime boss, and the lasting impact of his legacy. The early life of Al Capone. Alphonse Gabriel Capone was born on January 17, 1899, in Brooklyn, New York. His parents, Gabrielle and Teresina Capone, were Italian immigrants who came to the United States in search of a better life. The Capone family lived modestly, with Gabrielle working as a barber and Teresina as a seamstress. Young Al grew up in a tough neighborhood filled with immigrant families trying to make ends meet. He was a bright student, but had a rebellious streak. At age 14, he was expelled from school after hitting a teacher. After leaving school, Capone worked various odd jobs, including as a candy store clerk and a bowling alley pin setter. However, his real education came on the streets. He became involved with local gangs, where he learned the skills that would later propel him to power. One fun fact from his early life is how he got his infamous nickname, Scarface. While working as a bouncer for a bar, Capone insulted a woman, and her brother slashed his face with a knife, leaving him with the trademark scars. Despite his tough exterior, Capone was known to have a soft spot for his family and close friends. Al Capone's rise to power in his early 20s. Capone moved to Chicago at the invitation of Johnny Torrio, a mentor who introduced him to the world of organized crime. Chicago in the 1920s was a city of opportunity for anyone willing to bend the rules, and Prohibition provided the perfect backdrop. Capone quickly became Torrio's right-hand man, managing bootlegging operations and speakeasies. When Torrio retired after an assassination attempt, Capone took over the operation. Under his leadership, the Chicago outfit became the most powerful crime syndicate in the city. Capone was known for his lavish lifestyle, which included custom suits, expensive cigars, and flashy cars. Despite his illegal activities, he cultivated a Robin Hood-like image, donating money to charities and helping the poor. However, his empire was built on violence and intimidation. One of the most infamous events during his reign was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929, where 7 rival gang members were brutally murdered. While Capone denied involvement, the event solidified his reputation as a ruthless crime boss. The downfall and legacy of Al Capone. Capone's reign came to an end in 1931 when he was convicted of tax evasion, a charge that seemed minor compared to his other crimes. He was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison and served time in Alcatraz, the infamous island prison. During his incarceration, Capone's health deteriorated due to syphilis. He was released in 1939 and spent his final years in Florida, living quietly until his death on January 25, 1947. Despite his criminal activities, Capone's legacy is complex. He was both feared and admired, a symbol of the excesses of the Prohibition era and the darker side of the American dream. His life has inspired countless movies, books, and TV shows, cementing his place in history as one of America's most notorious figures. Top 10 questions about Al Capone. What was Al Capone most famous for? Capone was most famous for being a Chicago mob boss during Prohibition and for his involvement in organized crime. Why was Al Capone called Scarface? He earned the nickname after a bar fight left him with 3 scars on his face. How did Al Capone rise to power? Capone rose to power through bootlegging, managing speakeasies, and taking over the Chicago outfit after Johnny Torrio's retirement. What was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre? It was a 1929 gangland murder where 7 members of a rival gang were killed, widely believed to have been orchestrated by Capone. Was Al Capone ever convicted of murder? No, Capone was never convicted of murder. His conviction was for tax evasion. What happened to Al Capone after he went to prison? Capone served time in Alcatraz and was released early due to his declining health. Did Al Capone have any children? Yes, he had one son, Albert Francis Sonny Capone. What is Al Capone's connection to Prohibition? Capone made his fortune through illegal alcohol distribution during Prohibition. How did Al Capone die? Capone died of a heart attack in 1947, worsened by complications from syphilis. Why is Al Capone still remembered today? Capone is remembered as a symbol of the Prohibition era, known for his criminal empire, flamboyant lifestyle, and cultural impact.